Welcome to the TheCoinRepublic podcast, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shoro Pacharya. We oftentimes refer to the world of cryptocurrency in general to something Lego-like. You can create and destroy things at your own convenience, but then again, it's so innovative. In the end of the day, it's not innovative of what we're going to talk about today, though, because today it goes, it's really interesting. How about your own exchange? Yes, you could do that. Well, BitHolla Incorporated, with over 6 years in the industry and a customer base spanning from South Korea to the Middle East and Australia, BitHolla strives to build frictionless crypto trading technology. Their mission is to create customized, future-proofed financial technology to help guide businesses into cryptocurrency age. Recently, they have come up with the HollaEx kit. We're going to extensively talk about that, how easy it is to create your own exchange and trade in it, right? So without a further ado, I would like to call upon the screen the CEO of BitHolla Incorporated, Mr. Ali Beikverdi. Welcome to the screen.
Thanks for having me.
Where you at right now? Where are you calling from right now?
I'm in our office in Seoul, South Korea.
In South Korea. So you're going international, but you predominantly play from South Korea?
Pretty much, yeah. We basically started with the Asia Pacific and East Asia focus in crypto. As you know, it's like a pretty huge market in cryptocurrency, and then went international. So our base is in Korea, though, South Korea.
Let's start away with this. This is quite interesting that you have, the HollaEx kit. I really want to address this. The crypto exchange kit called the HollaEx kit. Am I pronouncing that correctly? HollaEx.
Correct.
Kit. So how easy is it? Because right off the bat, people want to know how easy it is. Is it just drag and drop, or you need to do some sort of coding for that?
To simply put, you can just click few buttons, and it takes 15 minutes, pretty much, to run an exchange.
Okay.
So, that you don't need any coding or anything for that matter. We made it extremely easy for anyone with some general knowledge to be able to configure stuff. Few clicks, and there you go. Like, you got your exchange up and running.
So how much does it cost to get started with the HollaEx kit? I mean, because I understand that you're all about cloud exchange, if I'm not wrong, right?
We do have both cloud exchanges, DIY, like do it yourself. So
Okay,
we created a different range of offerings from enterprises and large companies who want to have control everything, want to have everything on premise, to businesses that just want to run something easy on the cloud, and also developers or companies with their own tech team to be able to run it DIY. So pretty much like a broad range of different types of people, and it is done that way because the crypto audience is actually pretty broad. So
right.
we serve different types of businesses. And based on what they need, we create offerings that sort of suits the audience, very customer focused, I'd say.
So, but would it be correct to state that you're more B2B oriented or B2C oriented?
We're mostly B2B. So we focus on businesses who want to start to do something in crypto. And starting from an exchange, like the concept, the abstract of an exchange does so much for businesses, provides a range of different services to a business that sort of, it's kind of like the step to get your hands dirty, get involved into crypto. And that suite of different tools are all provided with the kit.
So most of the premise of an exchange comes with the concept of people coming up their own coin. So do you support that sort of a service as well? Can someone create a coin? For example, if I have a coin or want to add a new coin, do you have a process for that?
Absolutely. I mean, that's something that a lot of companies, a lot of businesses are looking to have, and we have a pretty clear process for you to add a coin, to create a market for that, and that sort of stuff. So it's simplified to pretty like good degree that you don't really need to like do a lot of like nitty gritty stuff. Like just set what you exactly are looking for, attributes, parameters around your coin, and then you can get it up and running.
Okay. But what about liquidity though? Should I put up my own capital to make the exchange order look, full and active?
So, I mean, liquidity is one of those kind of topics that it really, I mean, it depends. For the most part, by default, obviously, there's no liquidity for your own coin. However, like when you run HollaEx Kit, if you connect it by default to the HollaEx network, there is a shared liquidity for common, trading pairs. So you have like Bitcoin, Tether, Ethereum. The common coins, there is a pretty significant liquidity shared and built over years by the companies and businesses that have been utilizing our services, and you can connect to that. That being said, your coin and your market is obviously a totally different story. You need market makers. You need like you need your own like ways of like essentially creating that market. Some people go very professional about it. They have like market making team, and they have traders. Some people start with something really simple. They create a very basic like exchange with just simple bids and asks, like traditional style, so people can their audience can engage. It's a whole word. Like when it comes to liquidity, we do have some separated software for simplifying that, automating some of these processes for people who want to build that. But it's a whole different word of like basically doing stuff with when it comes to liquidity.
So I've noticed there's a token called XHT, or the HollaEx token. Is it your own token? How does it play into this whole HollaEx exchange world?
So a little background about us, like we mostly we're focusing on enterprises, like larger companies getting involved into crypto earlier days, and that's primarily like a software vendor essentially providing like technology from a custody solution to like matching engine, exchange, and that sort of a stack. Like we call it the crypto stack that we provide, starting from custody to exchange, and then like users come on top of that. And then this stack is essentially the foundation for anything that you want to do when it comes to crypto. What we realized is, a lot of people over these years, like we've gone through up and downs of crypto, and we've seen all the different types of projects who wanted to utilize like this technology for different purposes, but necessarily, I mean, a lot of them don't have like hundreds of thousands of dollars in order to start an exchange, or for that matter, like huge liquidity. We created a HollaEx network to simplify a lot of these challenges that people have, to make it easier for them to get onboarded, simply like get some of these stuff like handled in a very easy way. You don't need to do all the complicated stuff, and that created HollaEx network. So HollaEx network is fueled with XHD, which is the HollaEx token. Exchanges can have different status when they join the network. So you can be an exchange member when you join the network, which comes with some perks you can do within the network, or you basically, as a DIY exchange, who just as a developer, you can also connect to that. So XHD is essentially the fuel to have different sort of features and functionalities within this ecosystem. And also, like the fees, the revenue generated from exchanges, it goes essentially into certain portion of like fees that these companies generate, is shared with the network, and it goes towards XHD, which is the model that we have in order
That's
to.
the decentralization part. as you
Correct. It is basically it's a DeFi protocol based on like Ethereum, and has a DeFi interaction where you can stake the token. You can essentially like stake the token in order to become a member. You can create markets within HollaEx network. You can create different markets when it comes to that through using XHD. So it's kind of a big part of like how the network and that interaction works amongst exchanges.
All right, Mr. Ali, I am convinced. All right, let's say I have a company. I am convinced. I'm your target audience. You get your brand message towards me. I come across your website or something. What is the next step? Like walk us through the entire process. What do I look forward to get the entire process done? Whether you said within 15 minutes or something like that.
Right. I mean, you simply go to the website, you go to the dashboard, you sign up, like pretty straightforward process, and you go through the exchange creation wizard. There's a wizard with multiple steps, like you have to answer, each of these questions, and you have to go thoroughly through all of that. Once that is done, you can choose like how you want to host it, whether you want to go through, a DIY, you're a technical guy, or you're a business. What exactly, what kind of like package are you looking for? What kind of like hosting you're looking for? And for cloud exchanges, you have to essentially, pay to host the exchange. You go through that process, and pretty much like, you use the hosting when it comes with a console where you can basically get your exchange into the server, and you can run it like very, very easily. So that's pretty much like that entire process. Depending, I mean, on the case, like some people want to have, different things, like you can add like certain configurations and certain stuff on top of that, but pretty much that's the standard procedure.
Let's go to for the most high end stuff service that you have, because you can custom and as you could say B2B, a B2C stuff like that. So it would be the entire process could be wrapped up within a day, you're saying.
So we say like, the default exchange takes 15 minutes. Some people, for example, want to have like fiat currencies like supported, which adds a lot of complexities and challenges. Like fiat currencies, you have to come up with bank integration. There's like KYC, AML, that sort of stuff involved. So that adds, a lot of complexities, and it's kind of case by case, depending on like which country you're from and, which country you're setting this up. There are different kind of procedures. So that's why like it is really like case by case. And a crypto to crypto exchange, you simply are looking to have like your token added, or you want to like get your audience involved into your exchange with your own community and everything. That is like the most straightforward process, which basically minimum 15 minutes to you need to do probably some configuration once you set up the exchange, some branding involved. It could take, I mean, people play around with it. We have people who spend like a week just like working on their theme and colors. They want to make their messaging all set. So like certain promotional stuff and that sort of stuff, like it's pretty customizable, like for a businessman, like similar to kind of to some extent WordPress, for instance, like how you can customize certain attributes of the exchange. People go through that, so there are a lot of like tools to play around. So I wouldn't say necessarily a day. It could take like a few days if you want to set something really cool. But the most challenging one obviously is fiat currencies. Like fiat currencies integration involves like longer process and longer procedure.
So let's talk about management though, because if I started with your entire service, after that I ought to work on my USP, right? How innovative one can be with the HollaEx kit? How can they be different from the big guns? The traditional crypto exchanges.
I'd say the sky is the limit. You can create something really creative and different that stands out. We've had cases where people, spent time in like customizing a lot of, stuff and features based on like their community, and they created something really different. to a very, very good degree. There are a lot of tools in the kit itself that allows you to create like something really customizable for people without like any tech knowledge or tech experience. If you have tech knowledge and tech experience, you can take that to another level. You can you basically create something really, really different than the original like default kit. And I'd say like the crypto exchange is all about like community. Exchanges are all about people gathering together. I mean, you can think about traditional exchanges where people go to like these exchange floors and they're like trading. It's all about that audience and community. Whether it's a token that is bringing them, it's the locality, it's something that gets these people involved. Like exchanges who have like already some kind of audience for different matters for their business that they're doing, or their tokens or whatsoever. That always is kind of unique. There is a very interesting message to that. Like exchange is there to pretty much like boost that and creates that environment where these people can interact like in a very clear way. So it's kind of like you have these Telegram groups, for example, and these communities. You kind of take that to the next level, and then add like financial stuff involved with that, and then now you have like an exchange with those people. So people can take this to pretty much wherever direction that they want, and create something really creative on top of that.
Well, we touched on the price thing, and in the beginning of the interview, but people are curious. Let's say once you start with your service, once they create their own exchange, is there a retainer fee like every month you need to pay for the management stuff to really manage their exchange?
So as I said, there are two types. I mean, there's the cloud and there is like the DIY. The cloud, there is a monthly like fee. You can subscribe for a yearly package. So that's pretty straightforward. On top of that, these different like sort of membership status within the HollaEx network, it comes with a revenue share model. So it's basically like the fees that you collect as an exchange operator. You share a certain percentage of that with the HollaEx network. So the network essentially is, when I say network, it's the XHD that essentially that fees gets into. So that's kind of like how the economy works. That's the tokenomics around this model.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's talk about the overall industry, though. How do white label crypto exchanges enable the overall business growth, especially for early startups? Because I think that's sort of your target audience, startups, right? So how does it affect them?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's a startups. As I said, we have different range of like offerings. So startups are obviously one of the type of audience that we serve. As far as crypto companies and startups are concerned, exchange is this sort of really interesting tool that could essentially be utilized for businesses to engage with their community better, to use for fundraising, for example, for distribution of, for example, your token, creating tokenomics on top of that. Can be used for payments, for instance. So there are a lot of different like features and attributes that can be utilized to run an exchange. And as I said, like pretty much the sky is the limit. You can kind of think of like something creative. You have pretty much a financial system in your hand where you can kind of do different things with that and come up with different ideas. So what we're doing is we're kind of breaking those like mainstream ideas about how payment works. Like you have to like use your card, for example, to buy something, which is pretty much like how things work today. But if you think about it a little more, like you can actually like have tokenomics. You can buy a token to buy a subscription, or you can get these for like as a loyalty or something. So you can kind of like monetize your business in a different way. And the interesting thing about crypto is that it's pretty much open. You can build a lot of stuff on top of that, and the kit on top of it like gives you so much power to utilize like those features without doing a lot of like complicated stuff. So it would help, I think, businesses to monetize their businesses, I mean startups, in different ways. And in a very like creative way. We've already been seeing that. I think in future ahead of us, we're going to see more of like these types of concepts where you use like tokenomics to utilize that for your business monetization.
There you go. Power to the people. But I mean, I do want to ask, how feasible is it to modify core kit configuration while setting up the crypto exchange, since it's pre-made solutions to launch a crypto exchange? What do you? How do you see that?
It is like pretty. I'd say like we created it in a very straightforward way. So like the if you go to HollaEx Kit, like it is open source, so people can
Yeah, and why
see the
is that
code.
open source? That's another follow-up question. Why is it open source though?
Right. So one thing that we've noticed, like actually earlier days, is that people want to push things to a different level. They want to customize this stuff, and part of like that creativity and being able to create something really customized is that you shouldn't really be restricted. Like we've seen with crypto, like one thing that I think crypto offers that is really unique is it's the fact that it's like open. People can innovate on top of that, and we try to really keep that sort of message and that sort of essence within the HollaEx kit. So people have the ability to utilize the kit in a very dynamic and open manner. So that part of like that is being essentially open source. So people can see the code, they can play around with it, they can actually create different stuff on top of that. So that goes really well with how crypto works in general. So it's different than like let's have like a software and having putting everything closed source, like making it very difficult for people to use. So if you want to have like something that really is used by everybody out there, I think number one like criteria is like that should be sort of open, so people should be able to access pretty much everything and play around with that as much as they want. So that's been the decision that we made around that. And that being said, part of this whole being open source allows that customization. So it makes it really easy for people to change things and be able to sort of create different stuff, like be innovative and creative. So that is big part of, I'd say, like HoloX Kit and the way that we kind of created everything. We have a plugin plugin development kit, which allows like developers to be able to add like code and follow a certain procedure in a very clear manner to be able to add these features to the exchange.
Okay. Let's talk about the one of the biggest concerns when they're talking about crypto in general, not only the white label stuff, security. Okay, how do you address the inherent security concerns in incorporating various security features such as registry log, DNSSE, CSRF, and SHSM?
I mean, security is, the most important part when it comes to like anything financially, anything that does any financial software, and crypto is even more important. So we put that as like one of our top priorities, like when designing and developing the software. Uh, One like important item that we really focused on from the very early on is testing, having automated tests, which basically is done on a very periodic basis, like having modular like tests that basically test different attributes of the software. So we spent like more time like building tests than the actual development sometimes, because we wanted to make sure that the code that is being shipped, the functionality that is being added is actually heavily tested. We have considered all different sort of scenarios in order to make sure that that actually does the job. To add to that, another thing that we focused on is providing sort of tools and best practices around that, especially for like developers. What are the things that you need to be aware of? What are the things that you need to do? Like and that sort of like architecture best practices around it reduces these kind of challenges. The software has been like audited a number of times. Like we've had, of a pretty, I'd say, vibrant community around it of developers. That also helps for that matter. Ultimately, being also open source is a big part of like a solid secure software. And open source software makes it easier for people to audit and find bugs, report them if there's any issues. It's part of like the crypto space, starting from Bitcoin itself, like all different types of projects that being open source, like it really helps to add like security features on top of that, because other people can find and report different problems, rather than being like closed source and then just not allowing anyone to do anything. I'd say mostly like open source projects are more prone towards security issues and flaws.
Okay, fair enough. In the lockdown era, we have seen a record high hash rate, and that suggests a lucrative, like crypto, a healthy economy, crypto economy, if you can put it that way. So I just want to understand, according to you, what are the top 5 competitive advantage of white label crypto exchange in 2021 right now?
First of all, it's time to market. Building a crypto exchange takes years. It's from a technical perspective, building a proper software, proper financial software that manages, especially like when it comes to crypto, it requires a significant amount of time to build. So time to market is the most important thing. Crypto changes all the time. I don't think businesses have the time frame of like a year for just like sitting down and developing something that is gonna basically, at the end of the day, most cases has a lot of like problems, bugs, like that standard like software development procedure that most companies go through. Time to market is very, very important. Like when it comes to white label, you essentially like pretty much reduce that to a very, very short period of time. I mean, in our case, 15 minutes. And that's a huge, huge advantage. You have an idea, you want to execute it, you don't want to wait. Like you can't wait. Maybe your idea gets really, old, like in a year from now.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Other than that, the basically cost is another important item. So if you are basically building an exchange, it's like you rent something, whether compared to like building it, it's like a whole different like process. Building something takes a lot of not only time, but also there's a huge cost involved, and especially with these type of like software, you need to really like take that into consideration. And that coordination and software development is something that is pretty complicated. So you're dealing with like pretty crazy bills when it comes to that, and you really want to like reinvent the wheel when it comes to building this software, or you want to focus on your business and get something out there. So I'd say like white label solutions really ace in that, and that's quite important. So how much does it really cost for you to get the software out there? You asked for 5, I believe.
Just answer as many as you can come up with.
Right.
Once you said it's a right place, right time, let's go right away. Price is another thing. Give me one more.
Yeah. So another thing is really the experience. Basically, being involved with a company that has been doing this, knows in and out of like the markets and this product is very important. Part of like what we do is that we help clients like through consultation or different sort of engagements. We help them to shape some certain ideas and stuff in a better way. So experience is a key part, because you don't want to make like the same mistakes that most other people make. You want to like utilize a software, a product, and work with a company that knows all these issues and best practices, and utilize something that basically gives you a better experience at the end of the day. So that experience, I think, is also quite important. Working with experts, basically.
Like following up on that experience part, though, I mean, let's get real, all right? A lot of people are misinformed, and a lot of people might just take that leap out of FOMO,
Right.
it's unpredictability. It's like it's in the backbone of the crypto industry, as we call it, right? So if things go southwards, right? Do you think what is a good exit strategy for businesses that have utilized a white label exchange?
So part of what we see is that people manage to, like, successful businesses utilizing white label exchange, they manage to build a pretty good audience. So they build a pretty healthy large audience. They get a lot of like engagement and interaction from their community and users. This could go to like millions of users, and they essentially built like this strong community and have this sort of base that can do crypto related activities. That as a next step, I mean, we're seeing these days a lot of like financial institutions, traditional financial companies that are trying to get involved. They're trying to like basically get their hands dirty with crypto. One really good exit strategy for these companies is cooperating with this bigger financial companies who want to get into this space, because as a bigger financial company, you want someone who has the experience. You want a brand out there. You want someone that already has an audience, already has this technology and everything in place. So one big exit strategy is being like acquired by like I think financial companies that are particularly, I mean, these days, like FOMOing, trying to get involved, trying to do something with regards to crypto, but they're really far. And these companies are everywhere. So locality is very important. You have an exchange, like you have this audience in this country. Next door there is a bank. Like that could be a pretty big customer of yours, or can lead into even an merger and acquisition kind of deal. So there are so many different ways that you can basically take that crypto exchange. It's kind of a very wide, like a spectrum of use cases when it comes to exchanges. So people trying to utilize it for different purposes. The exit strategy obviously is really different depending on like different paths that you take. So it really depends, I'd say.
Fair enough. Okay, I had this round called one line answer. All right, so let me ask you like certain questions, and you give us to the point answer to that, so that people take away from it. So elaborate me on the below points. While a potential B2B client chose to go ahead with HollaEx Kit, right away, payment gateway and wallet integration, how would they be able to set them?
We have a package called Fiat Master, which is exactly for that purpose. So you basically choose the Fiat Master package that we got, and you're good to go. We'll take care of everything. We'll help you with the stuff that is required for payments and integration. It's pretty like a straightforward. It depends again on the countries and and your involvement, banking and certain things. But it's a package where we take your hands and help you to process that.
Fair enough. Let me throw you 3 words, and you solve the jigsaw puzzle with me. All right. Know your customer, AML, CFT, and how can we build better transparency and security out of these trinity, maybe?
Sure. I mean, it's a huge part of like exchanges, and I mean, we've seen how important it is when it comes to exchanges, AML, KYC, and CFT. We have a plugin marketplace with different plugin integrations that you can choose already existing, like services that are providing these types of services to their clients, like globally. People can essentially utilize like these services and connect them to their exchange. These are like compliance services that provide like these services in a wide variety of like ranges of services around KYC, AML, and with few like clicks and plugin integration, you can pretty much like set a KYC system and adding it to your exchange. So a good part of like these plugins is that it also has like a nice user experience, a nice user flow where users go to like these services, like they can. It really has a pretty smooth experience because for the most part, I'd say like it's not a pleasant like experience for people, for end users to go through these processes, but some services out there did a really good job making that happen. So you can choose among like the services that we provide. On top of that, you can also like integrate your own KYC system. You can connect that with different service providers and develop plugin on top of that. So we created it in a very dynamic way for people to be able to utilize like different types of like third party businesses.
Okay, fair enough. Final question, right? Uh, before we need to sum up the entire broadcast that we did here. So even after all of this, I don't know, people who've gone through the interviews, people who are here right away right now, okay, top 3 things to consider before starting a crypto exchange and a coin, and why should they choose the HollaEx kit?
I mean, I think with any other businesses, it's the one important thing is like know your customer, your audience. So who is like your target audience? I think this is always like the first step for any business. If you don't know who is going to use your service, then that's the first step. You shouldn't be starting like that business. So know your target audience. Once you really know who you're targeting, you gotta find like a very good dynamic model that suits like your specific business. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to make a coin or a token. It really depends. So trying to create a business model, obviously utilizing all these interesting features that cryptocurrencies and blockchain provides. Like you can create different tokenomics, you can do different sort of stuff. So create a business model around that. I'd say like the last item, if you're choosing a white label solution, is you have to have a strong sort of marketing presence when it comes to these types of like solutions. The great thing about the white label is that it removes tech from the equation, which is a huge factor in creating an exchange. So you don't have to deal with this big matter. And I think that's for the most part, like when it comes to crypto, tech is the most complicated element. And most of these businesses that are trying to do something with crypto, they failed because of the tech. I mean, I'd say like more than like 90% of them, tech is really the sole reason that happens. So by utilizing HollaEx kit, you pretty much take the tech out of the equation. You need to focus on your community, your business model, and your marketing strategy. That's pretty much the way to succeed in this industry.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Ladies and gentlemen, to sum it all up from our side, you could go to BitHolla's website, bitholla.com, to sign up with them right away. You can also contact them on their website. It's, as he said, he eloquently put, it's really that easy, and you do not need that sort of a technical background. And I think you also eliminate the middlemen, because there are a lot of skeptics who think that we need sort of the middlemen to set it up, but it's really easy. Not as easy as drag and drop though, but it is easy enough to get started on your own. Having said that, go ahead and check them out. With that, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Coin Republic podcast. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Press on that bell icon to get more interviews like this. See you on the next episode.